welcome back to the Anime Iceberg. I'm Megan,
And I'm Meg.
and today we're talking about Dr. Stone, episode 46, Science Wars.
Yeah, this is season 3. Why do I have to check every time? Episode 10. Yeah, in this episode, Amaryllis, Kinro, and Kohaku are chosen to join the Inner Palace. The science team will need a way to communicate with them in secret, and eventually a way for them to communicate with the science team.
Yes, and this covers manga chapters 111, the second half of 111, Science Wars, 112, King of Three Dimensions, and 113, Cryptography Science.
Interesting. I always like to think about what the chapters are referring to.
Yeah,
Let's get into it. So our three undercover agents have infiltrated the inner palace and they need a way to communicate with them. So Senku, it makes an earpiece, a pretty like crude earpiece that only communicates like one way. They have to get it to them. And who was it, Senku that
no,
threw it?
Soyuz
Okay. Okay. I
lifted
was
the
like,
air. Senku
well,
couldn't
that
throw it
doesn't
that
make
far.
any sense. Yeah, yeah, obviously Soyuz did it. Um, and Kohaku spots it and catches it, and to make sure it works, um, Gen tells Kohaku to strike a cute pose,
If you
and
can hear
he
me, strike a cute pose.
yes, and she's like, cute pose, and she's like, oh, Suika is cute, and she like strikes a Suika pose.
Tries her best.
Yes, I think she does an okay job.
Yeah.
But she's not happy.
No, and
And
she kind of like threatens Gen under her breath, and Brandon McInnes is amazing. He makes another one of those little Gen squeak scream things. Um, and you may be wondering, it's a one-way communicator. How could Gen hear her? In the manga, there's a cute little extra comic at the end of the chapter where it says Kohaku couldn't talk to Gen to threaten him. He just got the vibes off of her and knew his life was in danger.
yep. And then the science team kind of regroups and like, what's our next step? And they need to come up with a way to grab the petrification device from the air. And that's where our drone comes in. Senku's science team is gonna make a drone,
This is one of those times where I was like, no way.
right? I mean, it's like it is like a pretty again, like a pretty crude device. Very simple. So now the science team is doing their thing, and the spy team is there doing their thing. Um, and well, we kind of already talked about this, but we like, would we rather be on the science team or the spy team?
I would rather be on the science team, but since I am a woman, I feel like I would have to at least try to be on the spy team.
Yeah, I mean, there's already three of them though, and I feel
Yeah.
like with your artist hands, you would be good at like doing.
The
You
intricate
have the stamina to like wrap the
copper wire.
yeah.
I
I
feel like
also
they would need you on the science team.
yeah, like I'd rather be on the science team 100%. Like I wouldn't want to be around a bunch of creepy guys
No. I
and
mean, the one thing that might make me want to be on the spy team is to take Ginro's place because he's pulling a reverse Mulan here, and if he gets found out, I'd be very concerned for what they would do to him. But like, I don't know. I get 2 seconds into doing Amaryllis's routine, like the, oh, you're so strong and handsome. I can't believe I'm done. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
yeah, I don't think I could hold it together. I just like wouldn't be very convincing. Um
I think I think the other problem for me would be like trying to do the cute routine like Amaryllis is doing would just make me seem too young, even though I am very much old enough to like you have to be at least 18 and I'm 24, but I feel like if you act too cute, they'd be like, "Child, get out of here."
yeah, I don't know. I think I yeah. I don't think I would get chosen anyway, so I think I'm safe.
Not for your looks, for your attitude. They'd be like, "You're pretty, but you keep giving me a stink eye."
No thanks. Yeah, so the spy team, Kohaku decides to do some espionage and Amaryllis, like we just kind of mentioned, is distracting the guards or the I don't know, yeah, the guards. So Kohaku can do some scouting. And yeah, I don't know how she does it because it's like 1 minute she's like, "Oh, you guys are so strong and I'm so impressed and whatever." And then you like turn around and her face is like,
I don't know how to
uh,
describe the face she made.
yeah.
Intense, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was the
Yeah.
moment I was like, I love this chick so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's great. She's got she's got a unique set of skills that is very
Yes.
useful to the team. And it pays off because Kohaku did find something that she needs to tell the science team, but they don't have a way to do that right now. But the science team is on it. They use some of their
They built some
the
rough motors,
yeah.
and they weren't good enough to use for a drone. So they're like, look, we can still make things out of this. So they make some mini off-roader, like RC kind of looking things.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they send one up to the spy team, and again they like disguise it as a little like rat because the islanders have like no idea. They just see something that's moving and just assume it's an animal. The spy team needs to send a letter to tell science team whatever Kohaku has discovered, but no one knows how to write. And we see at first we think Ginro does know how to write because we see his little like
Kind of flashes back to
yeah,
the
thank you. I
academy.
couldn't think of the word flashback.
How
Ah,
ironic. Um,
yeah.
there's
Uh,
a little scene of Ginro thinking about the science academy they set up back in Ishigami Village, and so we know that some of the villagers have learned how to write kanji at least. But honestly, in the anime, it's a little bit more convincing that Ginro might have learned just how the scene is set up. But in the manga, you can
mhm.
tell that it's total it's total crud right away because Kuno says, "As upstanding a fellow as ever, Ginro," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, this didn't happen. This is a lie."
Yeah, no, like until it was revealed, even this time I was like, "What? He learned how to write?" And then like
And
no, he didn't.
then Kohaku's
Oh,
like, "I
wait.
know him. He didn't."
That makes way more sense.
And
Um,
this kind of brings me to something, and I will definitely talk about this later in a certain scene I'm thinking of, but I'm kind of bothered by Ginro's character development just because it's okay to have that character who's kind of a pathetic case, you know, kind of there for half for laughs and half for like he represents, you know, like the unwilling hero. But he just doesn't make enough progress for me to think he's compelling or worth having in our main group, you know? Because,
mhm,
I mean, in the first season, he was a more compelling character because he had that whole thing about being too scared to go when they were getting sulfuric acid, and then he overcame his fears and helped Chrome. But since then, it's just like it's like they've done everything in their power to degrade his character, you know?
mhm. Yeah, he's a little bit like Mineta, but
A
not
little
as
better than
bad. Yeah,
Mineta.
not as bad. I don't think anybody could beat him.
Ugh,
Um,
I sure hope not.
yeah, it is that is true. Like he like started out like it seemed like he was getting better and it just seems like he's gotten worse. And it's almost like they like I don't know, maybe he's never supposed to be redeemed or they just forgot
Yeah,
that where he started.
the
I don't
thing is,
know.
I wanted him to I wanted him to have some character growth because I thought it would be very compelling to watch him. It would be very satisfying, I guess, to see him come
Mhm.
full circle, especially because his brother is so like, you know, he's a bit of a stickler, but he's got a really strong sense of morals. So I get having like Kinro and Ginro be kind of polar opposites in terms of personality. That kind of makes sense, so they can play off of each other. But where they're going in the story, it kind of just doesn't make sense for Ginro to stay where he's at, considering all of the things they're going to face, and for us, who we obviously know more of the story now, for things that'll happen later, where having a more morally adjusted character would be beneficial. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's just supposed to be like purely there to for comedic relief, but I honestly like don't usually find the things that he does funny.
No.
So,
He's kind of
I
supposed to
don't
be
know.
the annoying kid brother, but somewhere he
Yeah.
crossed a line, you know?
Yeah, it's like when you're like endangering other people's lives and like making fun of
Yeah.
people like who have noble pursuits. Like it just kind of makes you seem like a butthole. Like
And granted, some of the things he says are genuinely funny, and sometimes I do find myself agreeing with him a little bit, but
hmm
but those are like the few and far between points, because everyone has those moments of being like, oh, I couldn't be bothered to do this, or I need to make a snarky comment at this because somebody said something really cheesy or something like that. But there's other ways to bring comedy into the story without sacrificing a character to do so. Like,
hmm
I mean, like take Chrome for instance. When he was locked up in the Tsukasa Empire, I heard a commentator on YouTube say, I didn't expect him to be the comic relief character, especially in a situation that was so dire, but he was. And that just came from like situational humor and like the reactions he had to certain things. Like you need those moments of laughter in hard times like that. And like you could have that with Ginro in this case because he's cross-dressing. He's doing something where there's lots of opportunities for a laugh, you know, here or there. But yeah, well, again, we'll have more to say in other episodes. So
hmm Anyway, back to the episode. Kohaku devises a way to write a letter. And she's has drawn pictures. And they deliver it to the science team and they cannot decipher it. This is like one of those moments where Senku is like doesn't immediately know the answer.
I
It's
love
like I
it.
have no idea what this says.
I
Yeah.
also liked Aaron's delivery of the lines because it was so accurate. The sounds you make when you're confused, you know, like
Yep. Yeah, but he and Gen this is where Gen's skills come in handy, and Gen gives Senku some ideas on how to decipher it or what it could mean, and together they figure it out. The message is that Kohaku has found the platinum.
Ooh, it was pretty cool how they went through that whole
hmm
psychological and logical process of deciphering it.
Yeah, I like under maybe it's like I don't know if it's different if it would be easier to decipher it if it had been in Japanese because they were like going off of like the
Sounds.
letters, yeah, the sounds and stuff. And so it was like, well, that doesn't like totally make sense to me, but like that would have been like a really difficult message to decipher in English. Like it probably was easier in the original
Yeah.
Japanese. All right, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, so we have two Mecha Senku Q&As. The first one, Ororashi is supposed to be the most powerful guy on the island, but how does he compare to Taiju? So they've got an arm wrestling power ranking system from weak to strong, and Senku says there are different types of power. For instance, Taiju would be the victor by a long shot if the contest consisted of carrying something heavy over a long distance. And in a real battle, physical power doesn't necessarily equate to overall strength. But in an arm wrestling competition, at the very bottom would be Gen, Senku, and Amaryllis. Next would be Chrome. Next would be Ginro. Next would be Kaseki, Soyuz, and Kirisame. After them would be Kinro. Then would be Maz and Kohaku. After them is Taiju and Magma. And finally at the very top is Ororashi.
Nice. That would be a fun episode. Everybody doing arm wrestling. That's like Love is War.
Yeah, I was just thinking Amaryllis versus Senku would be like Kaguya versus Shogun. Except it wouldn't go on quite as long because Shirogane and Kage just wanted to hold each other's hand.
Yeah. Senku
Uh,
would get sick of it and
mm.
or Amaryllis would just be like, he's not into me and give up.
Second Mecha Senku Q&A says, Kinro is such a no-nonsense guy, but his brother Ginro didn't seem to be influenced by that seriousness at all. How did he turn out so sleazy? Senku says, he was most definitely influenced. Ginro only thought to use pictograph code because he observed Kinro learning to write. Ginro also learned to use a spear by imitating Kinro. When one is in close proximity to a capable individual, one will naturally be pulled along and forced to grow. And Kohaku interrupts, so without Kinro around, Ginro would have turned out even sleazier.
That is probably
Horrifying.
very true.
We have a voice actor to introduce. So Kira Same is played by Lindsay Seidel, who is Nejire Hado from My Hero Academia, Fiona Frost from Spy Family, and Gabi Braun from Attack on Titan. And Kira Same's name means mist or rain. And fun fact, we met Lindsay at a Comic-Con once. She's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we always
Yes.
say that. We met so and so and they were very nice.
Yeah, no, we had a good conversation with her because I remember we talked to her about Gabi and we were like, we
Yeah.
don't hate her. Like her stories actually is compelling
Yeah.
and yeah,
And she was talking about getting death threats for playing her.
that's wild.
Uh, that's not, isn't that what happened to Alex Lee? Because he was gonna do the Arise scene from Solo Leveling, and everyone was like DMing him and saying, "You better
Yeah,
get
like
this right."
don't mess it up. Yeah.
And to my knowledge, I think the consensus online is he actually did a better job of the Arise scene than the sub.
Huh.
I don't know. I
I
haven't watched it, so
I don't know either because I didn't watch it dubbed. But I will
I think
say his voice is like
his
pretty
voice is
similar.
good.
It's
Yeah.
actually very similar to the sub. Because I remember one time, I don't know why, but it had like switched to the dub
Oh,
um on an episode, on a random episode. And I didn't notice for a second because their voices are very
that's
similar.
amazing.
I was like, wait,
Uh,
why is he speaking English? And then yeah.
Arise.
Yes, he is. And we also met Alex Lee. But that was before like
That's
we
before
we knew we were
everything.
yeah, we hadn't like seen anything he was in.
Well, I did Demon Slayer, but you were watching that
Yeah.
subbed, but we didn't know who Mikey was. Ugh. And I
Yes.
think that was even before he started some of his bigger roles.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, because
that was definitely before Solo Leveling, definitely before Dawn to Dawn, before was that even before Vinland Saga? No,
I don't think so. But
no, but you
again, it
hadn't watched
was
it yet, and you watched it
I'm
sub.
yeah, again I watched it sub, so yeah. He's excellent
hmm
voice actor. Yeah, all right. That's kind of all we have for this episode. So, Megan, what was your favorite line?
Mine actually came from Ginro. Girls are
Uh,
scary. Yes, we are.
True. One wise thing, he
Yeah,
said.
one nugget of wisdom. How about you, Meg?
Mine came from Senku when Gen was asking him about the earpiece that he made. He's like, "Nah, that's just a rock."
Again, Aaron's delivery this whole episode was flawless.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this season, but I'm just like noticing like he's doing a really good job.
Yeah, he and I would say Felicia and Kohaku, because I don't know,
Mm,
I've just been, and it's the way Kohaku's animated too, I think. But since she's like, kind of leading the charge on one front, they probably are focusing more on her and the details. But like, Felicia's just doing a really good job of like Kohaku's like resolve mixed with her uncertainty because she's not used to situations like these.
yeah, I agree. Excellent all around. What did we learn in this episode?
Try to walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
And who pushed the story forward?
Kohaku for finding platinum.
Mm-hmm. All right. We will be back next week with another episode.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.